Chapter 46 The Ancient One. Wang Lin tucked away the thunder bombs and glanced at the other man. Senior brother Li Shan, I won't keep you from your business any longer. I'll take my leave. Li Shan nodded quickly, putting on a friendly expression. Junior brother, be careful when using those thunder bombs. As I mentioned earlier, the throwing technique can be tricky, so I can't guarantee they'll work every time. Don't come blaming your senior brother if they fail. With that, he returned to hawking his wares to the others. Fellow disciples, I've got another treasure here, a token from the Harmonious Union sect. Whoever has this can find themselves a beautiful cultivation partner there. It wasn't easy getting my hands on this, but I'm willing to part with it. Don't miss this chance, my Heng Yue Sect brothers. Wang Lin smiled faintly and headed back toward the herb garden. Soon he returned to his quarters. After scanning with his spiritual sense and finding Sun Doju absent, he sat cross-legged in his room and took out the 3 thunder bombs for careful examination. After a long while, Wang Lin's expression grew intrigued. Under his spiritual sense, the thunder bombs appeared transparent, holding no secrets. In essence, they contained a strand of Li Shan's spiritual consciousness that allowed him to control the detonation. Wang Lin had never known spiritual consciousness could be used this way. After studying it carefully for a while, he easily managed to cover the thunder bombs with his own spiritual consciousness. He didn't erase Li Shan's consciousness, but rather enveloped it. He could dissolve it at any time if he wished. This application of spiritual consciousness on the thunder bombs gave Wang Lin great inspiration. After pondering for a moment, he took out the mysterious stone bead. If spiritual consciousness can be used this way, perhaps it can be condensed onto this bead. Wang Lin's eyes flickered as he immediately focused his spiritual consciousness on the mysterious stone bead. After a long while, Wang Lin frowned. The bead showed no change, appearing as ordinary as ever to his spiritual sense. After thinking for a moment, Wang Lin's expression shifted. He quickly left the herb garden, heading to the mountains at top speed. Finding a secluded spot and ensuring it was safe, he immediately entered the dream space. Upon entering, Wang Lin knew his time was limited. He immediately expanded his spiritual consciousness to its fullest. Half an instant's time passed, then 1 stick, then 2. There were no changes in his surroundings. Wang Lin rubbed his chin in frustration, muttering, could it be impossible to leave spiritual consciousness within the stone bead? Just then, suddenly, the closest elongated luminous body began to flicker and gradually dim. Wang Lin froze. Like a chain reaction, one luminous body after another darkened. Eventually, all the luminous bodies in the dream space faded in succession. Before long, darkness enveloped everything, without a trace of light. Wang Lin was shocked. He carefully observed for a long while, but couldn't detect anything unusual. Stop looking. With your fake peak foundation establishment realm cultivation, it's pointless to try understanding the anomalies of the heaven-defying bead. An ancient voice suddenly spoke, filled with profound age. Wang Lin was startled, his pupils contracting sharply. After decades of cultivation in the dream space, this was the first time he'd heard another person speak. The shock sent waves through his heart. Junior Wang Lin pays respects to Senior. May I ask who you are? Wang Lin took a deep breath, suppressing his shock as he respectfully cupped his hands. Being clever, Wang Lin realized the other party couldn't have appeared suddenly. It must have been within the stone bead all along. He had likely been under observation these past 30 years. My name is not something a minor cultivator from a 3rd-grade cultivation nation is worthy of knowing. You've spent nearly 30 years, had my secret assistance, and the aid of the heaven-defying bead. Yet you've only reached fake peak foundation establishment. How disappointing, especially your comprehension. It took you until now to think of examining the bead with spiritual consciousness. Ph. Wang Lin remained silent. He had examined the bead with spiritual consciousness before, just never for such an extended period. Your way of handling matters disgusts me most of all. Cultivators are meant to defy the heavens, Whoever provokes you should die by your hand. I've been watching you and that pathetic sect these past years. If it were me, Hiert, I would have slaughtered the entire sect by now. Anyone who insulted me would have their souls scattered, especially that Wang Zhiwo with my temperament. I would have torn out his soul and thrown it into the cycles of hell, then gone to his home and massacred his entire clan. Sigh, that Xiang Hu from your sect, I quite like him ruthless enough. And that surname Li Jr., I like him even more. He suits my taste." Wang Lin's expression turned strange as he smiled wryly. "Senior, don't interrupt. I'm not finished yet. He urged, "Your little sect has several decent-looking girls. You're truly ignorant of pleasure. Boy, if it were me, I would have captured them as furnaces, draining their essence dry. TSK, TSK. That feeling, how I miss it. It's been over 30 years since I've tasted that sensation." Wang Lin was dumbfounded, unable to speak for a long while. "Boy, show some spirit, cultivate faster, strive to reach the infant transformation realm soon, so I can finally emerge." Sigh. Wang Lin hesitated, feeling confused by what he'd heard. "Senior, what is the infant transformation realm? And earlier you mentioned I'm at Fake Peak Foundation establishment. What of it? Can't you figure it out yourself? Always asking questions. Well, you're from a third-grade cultivation nation. You'd never get the answer no matter how hard you tried. Nupiech, listen carefully. Boy Foundation establishment is what fourth-grade and higher cultivation nations call the basic cultivation realm, equivalent to your key condensation stage, though broader in scope. Let me put it this way, your third-grade cultivation nations only have 4 realms: key condensation, foundation establishment, core formation, and nascent soul. As for the spirit's Evering realm, it's merely legendary to you. If a third-grade cultivation nation produces a spirit's Evering cultivator, your nation will be promoted to 4th grade. You'll receive various forms of support from the Cultivation Alliance and gain the right to compete for Outer Realm cultivation planets. You'll also have to take on the duty of maintaining the Cultivation Alliance. Similarly, if a 4th grade cultivation nation produces an infant transformation realm cultivator, they'll advance to 5th grade. And so it continues. Chapter 47, The Exchange, Part 1. Wang Lin smiled wryly. The infant transformation realm. It seems far too distant for this junior. Nonsense. With the help of an unparalleled master from a 6th grade cultivation nation like me, the infant transformation realm is nothing, though I can't leave. I've been using my nascent soul lessons to strengthen your foundation every time you meditate these past decades. With your talent alone, you couldn't have reached your current level even in 30 years. Moreover, since you've absorbed my nascent soul lesson, no one can see through your true cultivation level unless they're near my level of power. Besides, you have the heaven-defying bead. What are you afraid of? Damn it, I exhausted myself trying to steal this mysterious treasure when it suddenly appeared in the Cultivation Alliance. In the end, my physical body was destroyed, and I nearly had my soul scattered. I barely managed to hide in this heaven-defying bead, planning to find a body to possess. But this cursed bead, once you enter it without a physical form, you can't leave. I won't deceive you, Junior. When I first saw you enter, I planned to possess your body, but I discovered it was impossible. This heaven-defying bead is like a prison, preventing me from leaving. After years of research, I've understood something. The bead must accept its master before it can show its true powers, and only then can I leave. When I first obtained this bead, I had no time to study it before being hunted down. It requires gathering the 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth to accept a master. Even then, you must reach at least the infant transformation realm to free me. Sigh. Boy, show some kindness and cultivate faster. Help me find a decent body to possess later, and I, Cichunan, will remember your great kindness forever. With my protection, you'll live a life of luxury. By the end, Sichunen's tone had lost its earlier arrogance, filled instead with lamentation. Wang Lin remained silent for a moment, but just as he was about to speak, Sichunen's voice suddenly rang out again. "Boy, someone's coming. I'll send you out first." A ripping sensation surged through him, and Wang Lin's body shuddered as his eyes opened in the real world. His spiritual sense immediately detected two inner disciples, a man and a woman, sneaking around. They stopped about 30 zhang away from Wang Lin, exchanging sweet nothings and kisses. Before long, they had stripped naked, their moans echoing through the surrounding. Wang Lin recognized both disciples, having trained with them during the group sessions. He watched curiously for a while, his gaze lingering especially long on the female disciple, before reluctantly departing. Back at his residence, Wang Lin pondered Sichunen's words from the dream space. While he didn't trust everything the man said, the information about the cultivation world's nation grades had certainly broadened his horizons. Surely there was no reason for Sichuan to lie about such matters. 3 days later, the exchange between Heng Yue Sect and Zhuangdao Sect officially began. This was a long-standing tradition between the two sects, so there was no need for elaborate ceremony. The exchange was set to take place on Pine Peak, a subsidiary peak of Mount Hengyu. An arched stone bridge spanned between the two peaks. Wang Lin had glimpsed Pine Peak several times from afar, but clouds and mist had always obscured his view. Pine Peak was one of Heng Yue Sect's important locations. The spiritual energy concentration there rivaled that out in Spand, and to core formation realm ancestors often secluded themselves there for cultivation. At the summit of Pine Peak stood a stone platform specially prepared for exchanges, surrounded by 8 massive jade stones. These stones were densely carved with the glorious history of the Heng Yue Sect from 500 years ago. As they arrived, a magnificent aura gradually emanated from the 8 jade stones, instantly transforming into an overwhelming, killing intent that chilled to the bone and seized the soul. "Friend Huang Long Long, every time I see your sect's 8 jade stones, I am struck anew. Truly worthy of being called the State of Zhao's cultivation treasure." The elder Liuing sighed with emotion while sweeping his sleeve to seriously dispel the killing intent that rushed toward them. Behind him, all the Zhuangdao Sect disciples showed shocked expressions. In that instant, the magnificent aura from the jade stones made them feel as if they were on an ancient battlefield, nearly overwhelming them. Only after Elder Ouyang dispelled it, did the sensation gradually fade. "Friend Ouyang, these treasures were personally crafted by our Heng Yue Sect's ancestors, within 100 jang of the jade stones. Any non-Heng Yue disciple will be affected by their killing it. You surely know this, so please forgive any offense." True person Wang Long spoke calmly while forming hand seals and muttering incantations. Gentle beams of light emerged from the 8 jade stones, as if 2 giant hands had swept away the clouds and mist around Pine Peak, revealing its true appearance. The overwhelming killing intent vanished completely. Behind him, all the inner disciples stood ready, cracking their knuckles in anticipation. No matter. Then, following the old rules, Zhuangdao Sect will send the first challenger. "Liu Feng, you're up." Elder Ouyang turned to confer briefly with 2 other elders of his generation before speaking. Liu Feng was Zhuangdao Sect's single water attribute disciple. He smiled slightly, took a deep breath, and with a tap of his foot, shot like lightning to the central platform. In a clear voice, he announced, "Liu Feng of Zhuangdao Sect seeks guidance from Heng Yue Sect." Wang Lin stood behind Sun Dazhu, carrying the gleaming golden giant wealth sword on his back and wearing the red disciple robe, cutting quite an imposing figure. Sun Dazhu was very satisfied with his disciple's appearance. Ever since Wang Lin had reached the 3rd layer of key condensation, his master's attitude had improved considerably. Though it couldn't be called fondness yet, he had at least begun treating Wang Lin as a true disciple. Of course, this all depended on whether Wang Lin's cultivation remained at the 3rd layer. If after 8 or 10 years he was still at the 3rd layer, Sun Dashi would likely grow disgusted again. During these 3 days, Wang Lin had barely left his quarters, spending most of his time conversing with Sichun An in the dream space. Through their many conversations, he had learned more about Sichun An. He was the strongest expert from the Vermilion Bird Nation, a 6th-grade cultivation nation, with unfathomable cultivation. His personality was unruly and domineering, often killing others and stealing treasures with complete arrogance. The scene grew very quiet at Liu Feng's appearance. Sect leader True Person Huang Long glanced at Liu Feng and said in a deep voice, "Xiao Long, you go." Xiao Long was one of the few disciples who had reached the 6th layer during group training. Known for being quiet and reserved among the inner disciples, for Heng Yue Sect to send out a 6th layer key condensation disciple in the first match was rare in previous exchanges. Elder Ouyang remained unperturbed, smiling as he said, Liu Feng, I permit you to use 50% of your power in this first match." At these words, the Heng Yue Sect members' expressions immediately changed. Chapter 48, The Exchange, Part 2. The elder generation of Heng Yue Sect maintained stony expressions, wordlessly glaring at the Xuan Dao sect with cold gleams in their eyes. Sun De'Anjou chuckled softly, whispering to Wang Lin beside him, "Disciple, watch carefully. This exchange is already more intense than previous ones. It's the first time Xuan Dao sect has shown such arrogance." Wang Lin observed his fellow disciples' angry expressions before carefully studying Liu Feng. A layer of mist still blocked his spiritual sense from discerning Liu Feng's true cultivation level. Standing on the stone platform, Liu Feng maintained his gentle demeanor, smiling lightly. "Senior brother Zhao, as my sect elder has instructed, I'll only use 50% of my power in this match." Xiao Long was of average build with dark, weathered skin, looking more like a mortal martial artist than a cultivator. His muscular frame suggested intense physical training. He cast a cautious glance at Liu Feng before cupping his hands. "Senior brother Liu, please." As he spoke, he stamped his foot, and milky white lotus flowers materialized beneath him. These flowers swiftly rose and expanded, circling his body. Sword ki emanated from each lotus petal. At this moment, Xiao Long's clothes began to flutter without any wind, making rustling sounds. Sect leader Huang Long smiled approvingly. "Xiao Long's lotus sword intent has reached middle grade power. Not bad at all." "Senior brother sect leader, Xiao Long is my most promising disciple," the red-faced elder said proudly. He was naturally talented, and even more precious is his vocation to cultivation. He chose this lotus sword technique from a scripture hall himself and has practiced it for 5 years to reach the middle grade. The lotus sword key has always been renowned for its offensive power. All you inner disciples, watch carefully and learn. Such opportunities are rare, make good use of them. Elder Daozu smiled as he addressed the surrounding disciple. Wang Zhua narrowed his eyes, outwardly agreeing while thinking to himself, "Lotus sword key? Tch, I can do that too. Give me 5 years, and I'll definitely surpass him." Senior brother Xiao is usually so quiet. Who knew he'd mastered the lotus technique to such a degree? Sun Hao thought enviously as he watched intently. On the platform, Xiao Long shouted, "Junior brother Liu, my lotus sword key is extremely powerful. Be careful." In that instant, the circling lotuses began spinning rapidly. Countless green sword key streaks shot toward Liu Feng like a violent rainstorm. Liu Feng's expression remained unchanged as he swiftly retreated while forming hand seals. "Watch a screen," he called out softly. The sky suddenly dimmed, and countless sparkling points of light appeared from all directions. Water droplets. These droplets gathered before Liu Feng with lightning speed, forming a screen of water that sparkled with 7 colors in the sunlight, creating a beautiful display. Elder Ouyang smiled, addressing his disciples behind him. "Heng Yue Sect's lotus sword key is difficult to master, especially to the level of sword intent that Xiao Long has achieved. Its attacking power is exceptional. Remember, when you encounter it, don't try to match it head-on. Seek in direct victory. Unless you are like Liu Fang with a single water spiritual root that allows instinctive control over water element. The disciples nodded in acknowledgment, except for a middle-aged man at the back who showed subtle disdain. On the platform, the rain-like lotus sword key struck the water screen, but Xiao Long's expression darkened. The screen was too mysterious. His sword key simply vanished upon contact, without the slightest effect. Just as he frowned, preparing another technique, Liu Feng suddenly showed an odd smile through the water screen. Senior brother Xiao, it would be impolite not to return the favor. Let's see how you handle your own lotus sword key. The water screen rippled brilliantly, and Xiao Long's sword key reflected back at him with the same technique and intent. Xiao Long's expression changed dramatically as he desperately retreated, but the sword key was faster. Seeing he couldn't dodge in time, he gritted his teeth and quickly threw out over 10 talismans from his storage bag. The talismans flashed with yellow light, combusting without flame into streams of black mist. The sword key struck the mist, gradually dispersing, though the black mist also rapidly dissolved, managing to neutralize most of the sword key. Some still penetrated through, piercing Xiao Long's body. The impact sent him flying backward, blood spurting from his mouth as he fell heavily to the ground. Despite his struggles, he couldn't stand again. Several small holes punctured his body, though fortunately none had hit vital points. His life wasn't in danger. Liu Feng showed a satisfied expression as he jumped down from the platform. Addressing Elder Royang, disciple didn't disappoint. I only used half the water screen's reflection power. The red-faced elder moved like a ready cloud to Xiao Long's side, his expression dark as he struck several palm strikes on his disciple's body and fed him some precious medicinal pills. After finishing, he spoke gravely. What an impressive water screen reflection! It would take at least the 8th layer of key condensation to break through it. My disciple's skills were insufficient. His defeat was expected. The Xuandao sect disciples showed pleased expressions, discussing among themselves a mere 6th layer key condensation trying to challenge senior brother Liu Feng. I knew we'd win this first round. Indeed, senior brother Liu's water screen is incredibly powerful. Even the elders praise it. They're dreaming if they think they can break it. Exactly. Heng Yue Sect gets weaker every year. I've been observing their inner disciples for days and haven't seen a single one who could threaten us. Well, don't speak too soon. The purple-robed disciples of Heng Yue Sect haven't appeared yet. I heard from the elders that they're the sect's core disciples. Chapter 49, The Exchange Part 3. Like their Xuandao sect counterparts, the Heng Yue Sect inner disciples were shocked. Having all joined the sect within the last 20 years, they had rarely witnessed such a bloody scene. They fell silent, their hearts uneasy. Sect leader Wang Long's face darkened like still water. He remained speechless for a long while. He had immediately recognized Liu Feng as a 6th layer key condensation cultivator, but he hadn't expected such an extraordinary technique. The water screen grew stronger against stronger attacks without 8th layer power. It was unbreakable. For the very first match to end this way left a bitter taste in his mouth. Heng Yue Sect had truly declined. Looking at his fellow sect elders, he saw only grim expressions and silence. Sun Dazhu drew in a sharp breath, muttering under his breath, "Damn it all, a mere disciple stronger than me. How does Xuandao sect find such disciples? Why don't I have such luck?" Wang Lin studied Liu Feng intently, though he had sensed Liu Feng's cultivation level when the water screen appeared. Without actual combat experience, the technique's power still shocked him. Elder Guoyan of Xuandao sect smiled slightly and called out, "Friend Huang Long, it's your turn to send someone for the second match." True person Huang Wang's gaze swept across the inner disciples. Most immediately lowered their heads, silently praying not to be chosen. Seeing this, Huang Long's anger rose. Just as he was about to speak, Sun Hao suddenly gritted his teeth and stepped forward. "Sect leader, though I'm not skilled, I volunteer for the second match. The surrounding elders frowned approvingly. Elder Daozu's brows furrowed as he said, "Sun Hao, you are only at the fourth layer of key condensation. Don't be foolish." Sun Hao hesitated before saying, "Disciple has a new technique. Even if I can't win, I can at least make things difficult for them." Inwardly, he thought, "Nobody else wants to fight. By stepping up, I'll surely gain the sect leader's favor. Even if I can't win, I can save face with the thunder bombs. Brother Li Shan, forgive me, but using these bombs I bought from you against your own sect, that's karma for you." In recent days, he believed he had mastered the thunder bombs. Though his first few attempts had failed, he had succeeded several times with Li Shan. Time constraints had prevented further practice, but he was confident that with a few more tries, he would succeed. True person Huang Long sighed inwardly before nodding after brief consideration. "Go ahead. Show me this new technique of yours." Sun Hao leapt onto the platform, announcing loudly, "Heng Yue Sect disciple Sun Hao seeks guidance from Zhuangdao Sect." Seeing Sun Hao, Li Shan could barely contain his laughter. Noticing Elder Wang about to select someone, he quickly stepped forward. "Uncle Master, this disciple Li Shan volunteers to exchange pointers with him." He added a meaningful wink. Elder Wang found Li Shan rather troublesome, but knew his cunning nature meant he rarely suffered losses, since he volunteered so confidently. Wang nodded after brief consideration. Li Shan excitedly mounted the platform, inwardly gloating. "Oh, Sun Hao, you asked for this. I'll make sure you lose all face today." Sun Hao's expression turned awed upon seeing Li Shan. "Senior brother Sun Hao, come, show me your most dazzling technique. Attack me with everything you've got, I'll take it all." Li Shan called out loudly. After a moment's hesitation, Sun Hao, now capable of wielding flying swords, formed a hand seal. A red flying sword shot out from behind him, circling his body with cold gleams. Though, as the sword flew toward Li Shan, Sun Hao seized the opportunity to pull out 4 or 5 thunder bombs, shouting, "Behold my technique." Li Shan laughed heartily, easily dodging the sword while thinking, "Detonate," before Sun Hao could throw them. The thunder bombs exploded with loud bangs. A tremendous stench filled the air. Sun Hao stood there covered in black soot, speechless with shock. He couldn't understand why the bombs had exploded before he could throw them. Had he gripped them too tightly? Li Shan sighed dramatically, shouting, "Senior brother Sun Hao, what a powerful technique! What do you call it? Self-destruct's art? Didn't I tell you to handle the thunder bombs gently? Gripping them so hard naturally causes premature explosion." The Zhuangdao sect disciples erupted in laughter, their mockery filling the air. Even the Heng Yue Sect inner disciples struggled to contain their laughter, fearing the elders' displeasure. True person Huang Long angrily swept his sleeve, creating a gust that dispersed the stench and sent the dazed Sun Hao flying back to Mount Heng Yue. Elder Wang smiled. "Friend Huang Long, since Sun Hao failed to properly execute his technique, we can't judge his true ability. Shall we call this match a draw?" He gave Li Shan an approving look. Huang Long's expression darkened. "A loss is a loss. There's no room for draws. Continue." Elder Wang laughed heartily, as expected of a great sect from 500 years ago. "Very well. Zhu Mu, you're up." A disciple emerged from the Zhuangdao sect ranks, about 24 or 25 years old, with fair skin and refined features. Reaching the platform, he merely cupped his hands in greeting before falling silent. This time, true person Huang Long didn't call forth an inner disciple. Instead, he took out a jade slip and crushed it gently. A blue glowing formation array immediately appeared on the platform. In a brilliant flash, 3 figures emerged. These 3 wore purple robes, and their mere presence exuded powerful auras that instantly energized all the inner disciples. Elder Yao's expression changed slightly as he carefully studied the 3. The middle-aged man at the back of the Zhuangdao sect disciples suddenly showed flickering eyes filled with fighting spirit. After appearing, The three swept cold gazes across the gathering. One of them, a middle-aged man of about 40, spoke gravely. "Yue Sect. Lu lost 20 years ago. It won't happen again." Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. Among the three, he recognized only one second senior brother Zhang Kuang. "Lu Song, you'll take this match," true person Huang Long said calmly. Lu Song nodded slightly. His two companions leapt down from the platform in a flash, taking positions beside Huang Long. "Lu Song, fifth senior brother Lu Song. I heard he was already at the 6th layer of key condensation 20 years ago. With him fighting, our Heng Yue Sect will surely win." Chapter 50, The Exchange, Part 4. "That's Lu Song. I've heard Master mention him many times, the greatest genius in our Heng Yue Sect's last 100 years. Dao Sect is sure to lose this time. Fifth senior brother, go for it. You're our role model." The Heng Yue Sect inner disciples cheered excitedly, regaining their confidence after the previous two defeats. Some female disciples even gazed at Lu Song with admiring eyes, instantly developing feelings for him. True person Wang Long smiled, thinking to himself that Lu Song would surely win this match. Wang Zhuo cast an envious glance at Lu Song before snorting softly. The Dao Sect disciples also showed shocked expressions. Lu Song's reputation was legendary to them, though he had ultimately lost 20 years ago in the exchange. His brilliant performance had left a deep impression on the Dao Sect elders. Elder Yaoing's expression grew solemn. "Zhu Mu, I permit you to break the ancestor's seal and show your true strength." Zhu Mu's expression turned serious as he opened his robe, revealing a dark yellow talisman paper on his chest. The Heng Yue Sect elders were startled. After carefully examining the talisman, shock spread across their faces. "Friend Ouyang, this talisman," true person Huang Long said, losing color. Elder Yaoing's eyes flickered as he spoke calmly. "True person Huang Long, let me take this opportunity to clarify something. If Dao Sect wins today's exchange, in addition to the previous conditions, we require one more thing. We need to borrow Mount Heng for 500 years. Everyone's expression changed. Huang Long narrowed his eyes. "Friend Ouyang, are you joking?" Ouyang shook his head. "Friend Huang Long, you've seen the talisman. Only a nascent soul realm ancestor could create such spiritual power. To be frank, one of our Dao Sect ancestors has returned from the outer battlefield of the 4th grade cultivation nation. He brought news that all of your Heng Yue Sect ancestors have perished." Huang Long's expression fluctuated before he spoke gravely after a long pause. "Friend Ouyang, cease this nonsense, or don't blame Heng Yue Sect for being discourteous." Elder Ouyang smiled slightly. "It's precisely because of our past friendship that Dao Sect hasn't forced the issue, leaving Heng Yue Sect some face. If Heng Yue Sect wins this match, we'll let the matter drop. I've delivered the message. Let's continue the match. Friend Huang Long." The Heng Yue Sect inner disciples listened in confusion, but all felt a heavy weight pressing down on their hearts. Even the sky seemed to darken at that moment. Wang Lin was inwardly startled, realizing Sichunan's words were true. The cultivation world was indeed divided into national grades. Stunned, Daoju's face turned pale, his eyes vacant as he muttered, "It's over. It's over. With the ancestors dead, Heng Yue Sect can no longer use their presence to intimidate other sects and barely maintain our position. Now it is finished. Damn it, if the Blue Dragon Nation, a 4th grade cultivation nation, hadn't drawn away all of Shao Nation's nascent soul ancestors 500 years ago for their Outer Realm Star Wars, Heng Yue Sect wouldn't have fallen so far." Seeing the panic spreading among his fellow sect members and disciples, true person Huang Long suppressed his own unease and shouted, "Heng Yue Sect disciples, don't panic. The core formation elders will verify this matter's truth. Why are you panicking? Lu Song, continue the match." On the platform, Lu Song had also been startled by Elder Yaoing's words. Gathering his composure, he spat out purple light that instantly expanded into a giant hand shrouded in black light. reaching for Zhu Mu. Zhu Mu's expression shifted slightly. Without a word, he patted his storage bag, sending 6 golden spheres flying to meet the attack. Lu Song sneered, secretly forming hand seals. The giant hand in Mitra swept out, stirring up strange winds that made the 6 golden balls tremble and deviate from their path. The strange wind also disrupted Zhu Mu's internal spiritual energy. His face changed dramatically as he shouted, "Detonate!" All 6 golden spheres exploded simultaneously, sending out circular shock waves that forced the spectators to retreat repeatedly. Lu Song snorted coldly, mocking, "Mere tricks." The giant hand in Mitra formed into a fist, ignoring the sphere's explosion and swiftly striking downward. Zhu Mu's face drained of blood. Seeing the strange hand about to crush him, he gritted his teeth. A seemingly ordinary yellow paper floated out from his storage bag. Zhu Mu bit his tongue, spitting out a blood mist. The blood mist quickly condensed into liquid in Mitra, forming what looked like a blood dragon. Without blinking, Zhu Mu formed hand seals while chanting. The blood dragon twisted, connecting head to tail to form a strange pattern before suddenly imprinting itself on the yellow paper. The yellow paper suddenly emitted dazzling light like a miniature sun. The descending fist visibly began dissipating. Seeing myth, Wang Lin's heart stirred. He had a similar talisman in his own storage bag. A spirit treasure. Lu Song's brows furrowed as he swept his sleeve, releasing 2 white dragons that quickly circled in Mitra before striking at Zhu Mu with lightning speed. Zhu Mu laughed bitterly. Having focused all his energy on resisting the giant fist above, he had no strength left to defend against these 2 sword-transformed white dragons. Just as the white dragons revealed their fierce maws, a cold snort suddenly came from among the Xuandao sect disciples. A black rainbow instantly shot out from the Xuandao sect ranks, easily ensnaring the 2 white dragons. With a creaking sound of strain, the white dragons rapidly shrank until they became 2 small silver swords. The black rainbow constricted sharply, snapping both flying swords in half with a crack as they fell to the platform. Lu Song's face changed instantly. The destruction of his soul-linked flying swords caused him to cough blood as horror spread across his face. The giant hand pressing down on Zhu Mu dissipated as his concentration broke. Having escaped danger, Zhu Mu quickly grabbed the yellow paper and retreated, relief evident on his face. Lu Song walked down from the platform, his expression dark. True Person Huang Long's face darkened as he shouted, "Xuandao sect, don't push too far." The fellow sect members beside him glared angrily, with the more hot-tempered ones already drawing their treasured weapons, ready to fight at a moment's notice. The inner disciples had mostly figured out what was happening and showed angry expressions. The other 2 purple-robed disciples maintained serious faces, their gazes fixed on the middle-aged man standing at the back of the Xuandao sect group. The cold snort had come from him. Elder Ouyang looked back at the middle-aged man, shaking his head with a bitter smile. "For this 3rd match, your Heng Yue Sect wins. As for what just happened, Old Man Ouyang, stop wasting breath. This Heng Yue Sect is nothing special." The middle-aged man at the back strode forward delicately. His footstep made the ground crack with a series of pops, a thin fissure appearing and spreading from beneath his foot to the platform's edge.